Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So, welcome back to the VFR series and another leg here. So we're sitting here in Geneva, Switzerland. So, this is where we ended up last time. We're going to end up taking off from here. And we've got, of course, another adventure that we'll be going on. So, let's get ourselves fired up so that we can be ready to go. Get our propeller up. Everything's good there. Fire this up, and we should be good to go. Fuel selector, auto BP. All right, we've got the NG there. Get ourselves to low idle. Watch this go up to yellow. Actually, so the higher the NG, it looks like the less crazy it becomes. Get all these things turned on that are going to take a bit of effort. Fans on. Pitos on. Go up here. Get all of our instruments going. Nav and strobe lights. All right, so we should be able to take this up to high. Get ourselves going there. And we can now turn the starter off. That will help. We'll get our taxi lights on because I'm terrible at picking that out. And we're going to go up. We'll start at 2,500. I don't think we can stay this low, but we may be heading out in a direction that we can. But let's go ahead here. We're going to do flight plan. We're going to import from a file. And we've got 12 waypoints, which is everything that we have. We're going to put this on auto. That'll turn that off. So now everything is clear here, which is what we need. We need to get our AP or our autopilot going. Temperature's rising, so our cabin air is all working. Go ahead and get ourselves set on the trim and lower our flaps to a takeoff configuration. Suddenly got really, really loud. Don't understand why. Intriguing. But anyway, we'll get the flight director on. Oh, you know what? I may have bumped. Yes, I did. I bumped my setting there as I was moving things, so that's much better. Alright, so we're gonna change this to GPS. We'll do nav. I think we are in good shape with regards to getting ready to go. So, leg 31, VFR series. So what that means, visual flight rules, we're going to stay low. Not going to stay too slow. That's why we're flying the TBM 850. We can get that thing up to 220, 230 knots, depending on direction, wind, and all that. And we're going to be traveling between Geneva and Giapavas. Giapavas. I'm going to go with that. It's French. So I think that's what it is. It's at the little pointy finger of France. So we're going to be heading across. So if we look here, here is our course for today. Probably a little less circuitous than we've had, but certainly, you know, a little less than direct. You can see we're 448 nautical miles based on the layout that we have. For direct between the locations, but this is 462 nautical miles of flying. So we're just adding 100 nautical miles. It's nothing like we've had before where we've tripled the distance or anything like that. First waypoint you can see is 50. So what that means is we're going to turn off the parking brake and we're going to move. And we're going to get ourselves ready to go. See? Which takes a little bit extra to cross that 15% threshold. Oh, we'll be nice with the fuel truck. Normally, I'm just like, well, there's no issues going on. We'll do what we need to do here. I think we need to go, yes, way. Skinniest taxiways on Earth. But here we are on whiskey, as it says. But we'll get ourselves out to the runway. And we'll call in before we take off.
Runway 4.
So that we get our position there. Now let me see. I think I know where I'm at, but I don't know for sure. So yeah, we're gonna want to go, I think, down this way. Could be wrong. But we'll get down to the end. And we'll get ourselves moving. So we're going to
runway 4 remaining. 8,700 feet.
All right. So this is a big airport. So we're really not honoring, you know, what we should be doing. Because, yeah, we shouldn't just be on the runway. We should get clearance and so forth. But once again, this doesn't become as much that type of setup as just, you know, getting going. So we shouldn't have to go very, very far. But yeah, you can see we've got another plane lining up on the other end. Again, probably not this uneven of a runway. Is probably the reality. Man, we are cruising. We're going 50. You know, we'll pretend we're off to the side and that plane wouldn't care that we're here on the runway with them. Yeah, usually these are quiet airports, so it honestly hadn't even occurred to me to worry about that. But we're going to go ahead, slow down, turn around, and get ready. So, all right. So we're set up there. That is the way I want to be. So we're going to go ahead, see what we need to do.
Runway 2 remaining. 9,100 feet.
Get ourselves some clearance. Good that way. And we'll get ourselves in. We want 12168. see. 1, 2, 6, 8. That in there. So using Pocket Sky from SayIntentions, so I'm just keying it in on a tablet now instead of doing it there, which is nice. But let's call in. Geneva clearance, November 191 Mike Alpha, looking VFR to Bretagne.
November 1901 Mike Alpha, Geneva ground. Taxi to runway 22 via Alpha. Hold short runway 22. Advise ready.
November 191 Mike Alpha, on runway 22, ready to take off.
November 1 Mike Alpha, you are on ground. Contact tower for takeoff.
Alright, well, we have the VFR that we need, so we're not going to contact them.
Delta ready to taxi.
We're just going to go.
Swiss 53 Lima Delta, runway 22 taxi via inner taxiway. Link 4, outer taxiway Alpha.
Runway 22 taxi via
So,
inner taxiway.
we'll just get
Link 4,
ourselves
outer
moving.
Taxiway, Alpha Top Swiss 53 Lima Delta.
Full power. So now we're going about as fast as we were taxiing the other way, which is insane too. That was quicker than we really wanted to do, but... Alright, so we'll take off. Hello, we bounced. That was not good. What is going on? Do we have a good crosswind? I thought usually I'm on some pretty light things here. Hello. Alright. I just realized in my urgency to get off, I did not do a lot of things, but let's see. Let's see if we can settle in here with the autopilot. Should be okay. So, looks like we're going to turn a bit. But yeah, the question is, are we going to need to climb a lot? Or is it going to be reasonable? I'm thinking we're going to need to climb more than we think. So, well, we'll go to 3,500. We'll see what's going on there. Get ourselves on the terrain. So, we're yellow. But we're heading there, and then we'll be going over. So we might, now we're green. We just basically want to be careful that the red starts to go away. If it does not, we obviously are going to have to climb a little bit further. But at this point, I think I might have forgotten one setup point here. So let me go over there and make sure we have, yes, we do not have our tour guide prepared. Need to get her set. We'll do that. We are still red, so we are gonna go further, continue to climb. And
at our 3 o'clock, about 6 kilometers out, you can spot the beautiful Plage de Versoix. This lakeside beach is a favorite escape for locals, especially in the summer when the shores of Lake Geneva become a playground for swimmers, sunbathers, and even the occasional brave paddleboarder.
Right.
The area is also known for its scenic walking paths and views of the distant Alps. On a clear day, you might even catch a glimpse of Mont Blanc peeking over the horizon. Plage de Versoix has been a cherished spot since the early 20th century, drawing families and nature lovers for generations.
So we should be pretty good.
During winter, if the temperature drops low enough, the lake
go
can
up
freeze
to
near the shore,
5,500.
turning the beach into a surreal, icy wonderland.
Because we are still really having some fun. Sarah, can you please load VFR TBM Around the World Tour Leg 31?
Absolutely. Loading VFR TBM Around the World Leg 31. Our first stop is the Royal Saltworks, about 83 kilometers away. Get ready for some fascinating history and a bit of salty humor along the way.
Wow, she is funny today. She's funny a lot of times, but she's not a funny tour guide. So it's always interesting when something does get pulled out that way. Whoops, let's put our gear up. I'm a little sloppy in general today. All of that will help. So, alright. Getting everything kind of put away. I think we'll be okay. I hope we'll be okay. I know I can. Right. Because, yeah, at this point, it's still going up another 100 feet. We're leveling out. Everything's turned yellow. So we should be fine. And then, as I thought, once we get out this way, because we're heading north, but let's talk about what there is to talk about. So, the narrative from the creator here. The next couple of legs will take us back and forth across the French countryside and allow us to visit many of the POIs added to the sim with the France Benelux World Update. Head north from Geneva to the Royal Saltworks at Arc et Saint-Senon, an 18th century industrial site designed by noted French architect Claude Nicolas Ladoux. Salt production ceased in the late 19th century, and the site is now an historical monument. So I'm assuming it's going to be a giant white pit, maybe? I don't know. I don't know that salt... Well, I mean, the Great Salt Lake, the Salt Flats, I suppose. I'm like, would salt just go away in the rain? But obviously it doesn't happen there, so... Yeah, maybe it's just that way. But we'll see what she tells us. The good news is everything works as it should. There's no reason to assume it would not. But still, you know, there's always that challenge. So, 37 miles to go. Looks like things are pretty mellow. So I am going to lower my height here. I'm going to go to 3,500 because it just seems like we're closer. Whoops. Oh my goodness. 3,500. And then we're going to go here. We're going to go down. We should be fine. And if we can get to 2,500, we will. But we will put ourselves out the window here where we give you a good view of the countryside. Well, I kind of need to monitor what's happening. So let's go back here for now. But I think we're going to then be able to stay lower because I'm just trying to look on the charts. I think everything... I mean, there are things that are 4,000 feet. So it's possible it's just a general height above sea level here. Because, yeah, we're starting to already get things in. We're only down 500 feet. But I'm going to shut up for a little bit. And I'll be back when we're ready to get to our first waypoint. All right, we're coming up here shortly, 5 miles away. Can't really see anything obvious here. But we'll see what the situation is in a moment. All right. Always fun when it does a little bit of a hiccup, but it happens. So, yeah, it's not going to be a visible anything. It might be this location there.
At our 8 o'clock, about 6 kilometers away, you can spot the Royal Saltworks, or Saline Royale. This remarkable site was built between 1775 and 1779 by architect Claude Nicolas Ledoux, who was way ahead of his time. Think of him as the Elon Musk of 18th century salt production. The saltworks were designed not just as a factory, but as a utopian community for workers, complete with grand neoclassical architecture. Back in the day, salt was so valuable it was sometimes called white gold, and this place was at the heart of that salty empire.
Now that's interesting too.
Today it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you can still see the perfectly symmetrical layout from above, proof that even in the 1700s, people liked their buildings to be Instagram ready. Here's something. During the French Revolution, the salt tax was so unpopular that it helped spark the whole thing. Imagine starting a revolution over your favorite seasoning. Our next stop is Vézelay Abbey. It's 143 kilometers away.
All right, so we are going to lower down here now. But yeah, 85 miles, so we've got a ways to go. But yeah, we should now be clear of the mountains and so forth. That doesn't mean it can't change. But we'll get ourselves down to 2,500 and we'll see what it looks like. All of my excitement, and I forgot, yeah, I need to give you a little bit more detail than what she shared right now. Start heading west now and find Vézelay Abbey near the small town of Saint-Pierre. Constructed between 1120 and 1150, the abbey is a Romanesque church where visitors can see supposed relics of Mary Magdalene. Alright, we're coming up on the Abbey, again about 4 miles out. So maybe that location there is what I'm thinking. We'll see what she can tell us about it. Yeah, there's only 2 waypoints that are really close together, waypoint 4 and 5, so this is waypoint 2. So after the next waypoint, we're going to hit 2 things pretty quickly.
At our 9 o'clock, about 4 kilometers away, you'll see Vézelay Abbey perched dramatically atop a hill. This UNESCO World Heritage Site was founded in the 9th century and became a major pilgrimage destination, especially as the starting point for one of the routes to Santiago de Compostela. The Abbey is famous for its stunning Romanesque architecture and its massive
Definitely
tympanum,
there.
which looks like a medieval comic strip. If you squint hard enough from up here, you might just see the Last Judgment in stone. It's also said that Mary Magdalene's relics were brought here, which made the Abbey a medieval hotspot. Think of it as the original influencer destination. Pilots and history buffs alike love flying over Vézelay for its unique hilltop silhouette and the way it seems to rise out of the Burgundy countryside. Our next stop is Bourges Cathedral.
Alright, so as you heard, a slight left, which we've already made, obviously, will take you onto the Bourges Cathedral. Built atop an earlier Romanesque church from 1195 until 1230, it is largely in the High Gothic architectural style. The cathedral is known for the great size and unity of its interior, and the large collection of 13th century stained glass windows. So, again, another lengthy leg. They're all pretty hefty today. They're kind of relatively evenly divided up, other than, again, between 4 and 5. But we've got about 55 miles to go. So once again, enjoy the countryside, and I will talk to you in a bit. right, I'm thinking right there is the cathedral, looming over the city.
At our 11 o'clock, about 6 kilometers away, you'll spot the majestic Bourges Cathedral rising above the city. This Gothic masterpiece was started in the late 12th century and took nearly 60 years to complete. Talk about a construction project with some serious delays. It's famous for its 5 massive doorways and stunning stained glass windows, some of which date back to the 13th century. Pilots and photographers love flying over Bourges Cathedral because its unique double aisles and lack of transept make it look like a stone ship sailing through the city. Legend has it that the cathedral's crypt holds the remains of Saint Ursin, the first bishop of Bourges, though I can't confirm if he was a frequent flyer. Here's something. The cathedral is so grand it was used as a model for other churches across France.
All right, so 56 miles. Now we have points 4 and 5 that we're headed to, so not quite half through our waypoints, but I'm going to go through the detail of them together because they're only about 6 miles apart, so we're going to cross that in literally probably a minute or two, maybe while she's talking. We might have to ask her for the second one, but we shall see. Now, adjust your heading to the right to the Château de Chenonceau. Château is a French word that loosely translates as incredibly ostentatious home for a person with entirely too much money. Think almost a palace. This one spans the River Cher and is now an art gallery, but since its construction in the 16th century has served as home to various counts, dukes, and even kings and queens of both France and England. Just a few miles to the northwest, overlooking the Loire River, is Château d'Amboise. The current structure dates to the 15th century, but the chateau itself goes back to at least the 12th. So that is what we're looking at, 2 big houses. I always thought chateau was castle, so assuming his research is correct, and I have no real reason to assume it's not, because some of the things we've read, the tour guide shares as well, so, you know, we'll see. But basically going to be looking at 2 really big homes. So we'll see those in a little under 50 miles. If you have not liked or subscribed, please consider doing that. Very important to the channel and extremely appreciated by me. I'm still pushing on to 2,000 subscribers. Would love to get there with your help. Alright, I think it just went out of our view. But again, it's going to be over the water, so this is likely it. We're then turning to the right to go 6 nautical miles up to the Loire River. But yeah, that is a pretty big thing there. Let's see what it says. I do have a smaller trip fence here, so hopefully it'll work. Maybe it won't.
At our 9 o'clock,
okay.
Just 1 kilometer away, you'll see the stunning Château de Chenonceau stretching elegantly across the River Cher. This chateau is often called the Ladies' Castle because it was shaped by some remarkable women, including Diane de Poitiers and Catherine de Medici. Built in the early 16th century, it's famous for its graceful arches spanning the water, making it look like it's floating. Talk about a real-life fairy tale. During World War I, the chateau was even used as a hospital, and in World War II, its gallery served as a secret passage between Nazi-occupied and Free France. People love flying over Chenonceau for its unique design, and the way it seems to blend perfectly with the surrounding gardens and river. Here's something. The gardens here are so perfectly manicured, they make my attempts at houseplants look like a jungle. Our next stop is Château d'Amboise.
Okay, and again, very tight geofence for the trigger, just 2 nautical miles. So, you know, we're still a little outside that. Again, we're kind of heading, you kind of always look at the nose, but it's probably right around there, and then we're going to turn left and basically, I assume, follow the river. I don't know how easily it will be to see things, but, so yeah, it could be there.
Just 2 kilometers away, you'll see the majestic Château d'Amboise perched above the Loire River.
Yep.
This castle has seen more drama than a soap opera. Built in the 15th century, it was a favorite residence of French kings, including Charles VIII and Francis I. Leonardo da Vinci even spent his final years nearby, and rumor has it his tomb is right in the castle chapel. The chateau's terraces offer sweeping views of the Loire Valley, and from up here, you can almost imagine the royal parties and secret plots that once filled these halls. It's also famous for its blend of Gothic and Renaissance architecture. Basically, it's the architectural equivalent of a mashup album. Our next stop is Château de Saumur, which is 72 kilometers away.
So yeah, I was going to mention the Loire Valley. I think anybody who knows anything about France has heard about that, so I guess this is the famous Loire Valley, or at least part of it. I don't know how long the river is. Obviously, I'm sure it goes to the ocean here, so it'll go for a little bit. But yeah, we're going to turn. I guess it's going to be off to the other side, but if I go the other way, you don't get much of a view if we're still trying to see where our mileage is. So we're going to stick with it here. Now you heard, again, we're heading to another chateau. So further west along the Loire, you'll find the Château Saumur. This one was originally built as a castle in the 10th century. It has served various roles over the years, including as a state prison under Napoleon Bonaparte. Today, as with the others, it serves as a museum. Alright, so I don't know if that's going to be it. It can be. A little bit earlier than normal, but we do have the triggers out further now, my normal 4 nautical miles, so you can see we're coming right up on that, and then she will go ahead and let us know. And again, it was originally built as a castle,
At
so...
our 10 o'clock, about 6 kilometers away, you'll spot the impressive Château de Saumur perched above the Loire River. This castle has roots going back to the 10th century, though most of what we see today was built in the 14th century by the Dukes of Anjou. It's been everything from a fortress to a royal residence, and even a prison. Talk about a real estate listing with a twist. Aviation fans might appreciate that its towers and turrets are so distinctive. They're used as a visual reference point for pilots flying in the region. Here's something. The castle is now home to the Museum of the Horse, which is pretty fitting since Saumur is famous for its cavalry school. If you squint, you might just imagine knights jousting in the courtyards below. Our next stop is Rennes.
There's a running track there, an airport. Quite a few things to look at here. Definitely a lot on that island. Very interesting. Alright, so as you heard, Rennes, this is the longest leg we have left. It's slightly shorter than the leg between waypoint 1 and 2. But as it said, we're just heading to another city. Our next waypoint is the city of Rennes, capital of the Brittany region of France, and famous for its medieval core. So, I will see you in a bit.
At our 8 o'clock, about 5 kilometers away, you'll spot the city of Rennes. Rennes is the capital of Brittany and has been around since Roman times, so it's had a little time to work on its charm. The city is famous for its half-timbered medieval houses, which look like something straight out of a fairy tale, or maybe a slightly crooked Jenga game. Rennes also played a big role in the French Revolution, and its Parliament building is one of the most important in France. If you ever visit on a Saturday, the Marché des Lys is one of the largest markets in the country. Just don't try to land our plane there. Here's something. Rennes is also known for its university, which means there are more students here than you can shake a baguette at.
All right, so caught me off guard there. Had stepped away for a little bit, gotten back, had time, but then, you probably heard sound cut in and out, was looking at a couple other things, and it got away, but give me a moment. All right, so now we are traveling to something that I always thought was intriguing. So, kind of got there in a weird way. We got a little bit, so we can go through the craziness. But just the way things get stuck in life. So, in high school, back in the day, being the mature simmer, this was a while back, back in the 80s. So just when computers were getting going, I kind of knew at that point that's really what I wanted to get involved with in my career. And so I went to the orientation, I guess, I don't know, for new incoming freshmen at our high school that I was going to be transferring to, and talked to the foreign language department representative and asked, I'm going to be going into technology, computing. I think I said computers. I don't think we even called it technology back then. Nobody knew exactly where it was going to go, but it's back in the day of the TI-99 4A here in the US. That was like the thing. I think the IBM PC had come out, but it was like super expensive, so I was lucky enough one Christmas to get a TI-99 4A, learned some little programming on it, did some crazy things, but anyway, I was told French is the language of technology. That is what you want to study. So, little did I know that the person that was telling me this was the head of the French department. So, I did feel a little bamboozled later, because I promise you, not once in my 30 or 40 years now of working has French been needed in technology, other than when I talked to someone from France. So, certainly was sold a bill of goods there. But in going into France, the French class, one of the first things I saw was where we are headed, Mont-Saint-Michel. It is this cool monastery on this outcrop. Now we'll see what it looks like from the air, but that is where we are going. So turn north and head for the coast, where you'll find the incredibly picturesque Mont-Saint-Michel. The abbey is situated on a tidal island. Its construction mirrors that of the feudal society that built it. On top, God in the form of the abbey. Below this, the great halls, then stores and housing, and at the bottom, outside the walls, fishermen's and farmers' housing. The island is among the most visited cultural sites in France, with over 1.3 million visitors per year. So I did not know that part of it. But yes, because it's a tidal island, pictures are like, they show this thing on top of this outcropping, and you can see like it's wet around there, and then other times when the tide comes in, it's just standing there, surrounded by water, and it just intrigued me as a incoming freshman. So I did take, I think, 2 years. I might have even gotten into 3 years of French. and ultimately gave up. Now, I think I just did 2, and then I switched to Spanish because I had come to my senses a little bit and thought, yeah, that would be probably more useful. They were offering Chinese at the point, but I thought about it for a bit, figured it might be a little bit more challenging than I wanted to deal with all the other classes I was taking, and said, yeah, Spanish is a lot more people, because basically what I had come to realize is, yeah, France is kind of the place for French, and sure, there's some places in North Africa and so forth that were French colonies back in the day that also speak it, but I realized not that much, where I felt Spanish had a little bit more use. I'm not that great with Spanish either. But anyway, we're going to probably be heading to Spain, but that's the story of foreign languages outside of, that I got educated in. But yes, I am thinking that is what we are looking at. We're 9 miles out, so I suppose, maybe I'll just be quiet a little bit if I can't think of anything to keep saying as we're going, but yeah, not really necessary to mute at this point. And then we have a couple longer legs than this. This was a pretty short one, only like 20, and then we've got like around 50, couple 50-mile legs. You can see looks like we're a little over 100 miles away from the airport, and right now the way we're going, we're technically getting further away. So this is part of, again, what adds that 100 miles of distance, are these legs that aren't getting us any closer. We are also going to fly by the airport a little bit, but yeah, that is absolutely it. Yeah, a little challenging to tell right now. I know it gets loud outside, so we'll wait till we get a little closer. But that is, like, I had no idea it was on the coast like this. I just thought, and then maybe again, it's the way they took the photos. It's clearly, I assume the water's always on the other side. I don't know, but yeah, pretty cool. So I think they've done a decent job from what I remember. Looks like maybe a golf course down there, but I'm not sure. Definitely lots of farmland. The typical narrow fields in Europe.
At our 6 o'clock, about 4 kilometers away, you'll see the legendary Mont-Saint-Michel rising out of the tidal flats like something straight out of a fantasy novel. This island abbey has been a pilgrimage site since the 8th century and was built to honor the Archangel Michael. Talk about a heavenly endorsement. Over the centuries, it's served as a fortress, a prison, and even a movie set. When the tide comes in, the whole place is surrounded by water, making it look like it's floating. No magic required, just some good old-fashioned French engineering. And here's something. During the 100 Years' War, the English tried to capture Mont-Saint-Michel, but never succeeded. I guess even back then, the French knew how to keep unwanted guests out. Our next stop is Trégueux.
All right. So as you heard, we are headed to Trégueux. Follow the Brittany coast to the town of Trégueux, then turn northwest. Then turn northwest, so we'll leave it there, because that's our next waypoint. But yes, we're going to a town, and I honestly think this is probably simply there so that we're not just flying over the water, so that he kept us on the coastline. But 47 miles to go, and we'll connect back up then.
At our 10 o'clock, about 5 kilometers away, you'll spot Trégueux, a small town that might not make the front page of travel magazines, but it's got its own charm. Trégueux has roots going back to the Middle Ages, and its name comes from the Breton language, reflecting the area's Celtic heritage. The town is known for its picturesque countryside and traditional stone houses. If you look closely, you might spot the spire of the local church poking above the rooftops. During World War II, Trégueux was occupied by German forces, and you can still find a few old bunkers hidden in the nearby woods. It's a quiet place, but don't let that fool you. Every year, the town hosts a lively festival celebrating Breton music and dance, so there's a good chance the locals know how to throw a party. Our next stop is Château de Costaérès. To get there, we need to fly 63 kilometers on a heading of 300.
All right, so that was waypoint 9. We're heading to waypoint 10. Again, there's 12. So the others are a little closer together. They're not like super, super close like 4 and 5 were. So we've got a little bit of room. Again, 66 miles straight to the airport, but we're kind of going northwest now, and then we'll come back southwest, then go straight west and pass. So we probably... I don't know that we have 100 miles to go of flying, but it's more than 66. So we're going to come in and do that, and it's our last chateau on this particular leg. So, as it says, then turn northwest to the Château de Costaérès. I probably said that wrong. I wasn't listening to how she said it. Built in a neo-medieval style, it's actually relatively recent, dating only to the 19th century. So, a little bit newer, but we've got 30 miles to go. Oh, passing over an airport, and we'll connect again then. All right, getting really close here. So, not quite sure where. It still looks like we've got a little bit of a tidal basin. 3 miles, so probably around there.
At our 8 o'clock, about 5 kilometers away, you'll spot the enchanting Château de Costaérès sitting on its own little island. Built in the late 19th century, this pink granite castle looks like something straight out of a fairy tale. If Rapunzel had a summer home in Brittany, this would be it. The chateau was actually constructed by a Polish mathematician, Bruno Abakanowicz, who apparently decided that if you're going to crunch numbers, you might as well do it with a sea view. Over the years, it's hosted writers, artists, and even a few movie shoots, thanks to its dramatic setting and storybook looks. Here's something. During World War II, the Germans occupied the island, but thankfully, the castle survived with its turrets intact.
All right, so next, a few miles along the coast to the southwest lies the Cairn of Barnenez. The Cairn is a Neolithic burial site dating to around 4800 BC. And go back in here, and is one of the oldest man-made structures in the world. So there you go. So that is where we're headed, crossing the water here. So again, pretty short, 14 miles, but talk to you in a little bit. So definitely a pretty beautiful approach. It looks, you know, a little bit cliffside type things, you know, nothing like the cliffs of Dover or anything that we had several legs ago, but definitely pretty interesting looking the way that it's laid out. But yeah, definitely these types of things are exactly what I was looking for when I came across this and was like, you know, rather than just flying with no real reason, let's go visit some places. And this is beyond my expectations, I will say that. The way this series and the tour has been done absolutely had to have been a labor of love for this individual, because I just cannot imagine the amount of time that was put into this. Again, they made it for their own use, which is how a lot of really interesting projects happen. In fact, the tour tuner we're using, I learned recently as we were troubleshooting, was made for the use of the creator of SayIntentions, because this is the type of flying he likes to use, and this was something.
About 6 kilometers away, you'll spot the Cairn of Barnenez. This ancient monument is actually older than the Egyptian pyramids. Yes, you heard that right. Built around 4,850 BC, it's one of the largest megalithic mausoleums in Europe, stretching over 70 meters long. Archaeologists believe it was used as a burial site, and inside there are 11 chambers, each with its own mysterious story. The cairn is made up of over 13,000 tons of stone, so whoever built it clearly skipped arm day at the gym. Here's something. Local legends say that fairies helped build Barnenez overnight, but honestly, I think they just had a really good construction crew.
So yeah, not quite sure what I was looking for there, but... So we've got 28 miles to the next waypoint, the final one. We're going to head west now to the 18th century Vierge Lighthouse. And then we are going to go south across the peninsula to Goipavas Airport, just outside of the ancient port city of Brest. And so we're going to be landing, I think, on runway 25 is what I was looking at. So I may end up just kind of heading straight southish from waypoint 12. So we may go to a heading setting at that point and work with that. But we'll worry about that once we start to turn. Well, maybe I'll kind of start getting it ready. Because, yeah, if I go here, that'll get me closer. But, yeah, if I just put it straight south, and it'll be a good approach for us there. And then we can come in for a leisurely landing at the airport. But the airport is directly about 13 nautical miles away. We're probably going to end up closer to 20 with a little bit of an indirect route and all of that. But I will talk to you in a little bit. Alright, so I would say that is going to be the lighthouse. So again, it's going to be well, it won't be a super sharp turn because again, we're gonna change to heading at that point as soon as it starts to turn, and then yeah, we probably want to get ourselves down to 1500. So let's start doing that. We'll get a nice view here then. And that will get us much closer to where we need to be for landing. So that will help too. Obviously, we're here at sea level. That is where we are headed. Yeah, we're still not getting down to within 1500. There's no
At
green.
our 9 o'clock, about 5 kilometers away, you'll spot the Vierge lighthouse rising dramatically from a tiny island. Built between 1896 and 1902, this is the tallest traditional stone lighthouse in the world, standing at a dizzying 82.5 meters. Basically, it's the Eiffel Tower of lighthouses, but with more seagulls. The structure is made from granite and opaline glass, and its spiral staircase has 365 steps, one for every day you might regret skipping leg day. The lighthouse still guides ships safely through the tricky waters off Brittany's coast, and from the air, it looks like a solitary sentinel guarding the edge of France. Here's something. The keepers used to live on the island full-time, which means they probably had the best ocean views and the worst pizza delivery service in Europe. That brings us to the end of our tour. We've soared over ancient cairns, fairy tale castles, and even a lighthouse taller than most apartment buildings.
Right, so that'll slow us down a bit as we come in. But again, we're 10 miles from the airport. We're probably going to be 3 or 4 when we start to make the turn. It does not have any VFR lines or anything. It looks like it does that from some other location. Probably a beacon, but that's okay. And we will get ourselves in. But really, really interesting from my perspective, certainly. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. I know I did ask, but as we near the end here, I'll re-ask for those who may have just popped in at the end. Please consider liking or subscribing. Those things are greatly, greatly appreciated and really a benefit to the channel and therefore myself as well. So would love to have your support as I continue this endeavor. I'm hoping one of these days this series gets discovered and something goes viral with it, because like I said, I don't think anybody's doing this series or has done this series before. And, you know, my intent is to finish this. It's over 200 legs. You know, we're doing one a week. It's probably, you know, the best I can do. It takes some time to set things up in the tour tuner, all that. So, you know, it's not something that I can just plow through, but it's, to me, a little bit of a labor of love to share this with folks as well. But hopefully, I would love to have it gain some traction and people just, even if it gets discovered at the end, you know, after it's done, and someone's like, holy moly, this guy did whatever. Let's see what's going on. And I get it might not be as exciting to just sit and let it, you know, go on your computer, your TV, or however you consume the content you watch. But, yeah. It's just all pretty cool. So, start slowing down because we're going to need to turn and get ourselves in. I'm just trying to kind of line this up somewhere. Probably worth heading over. Again, it's going to be 07. So if we come in this way, that should help. We'll get our wheels down. That'll slow us down a bit too. Yeah, at this point we've overshot. So let's fly it and let's try to find it. So just kind of trying to get my bearing. There it is. I see it. Hope you see it too. But it's over there. So I see the control tower. Because there's a really short runway too, but we're not obviously going to go for that one. So we'll get our flaps down. I don't want to slow down too much. So a little bit of playing with the throttle. That is our airfield. Probably not really set correctly, so that's going to make it more challenging. And get our final set of flaps in. We are good now. It looks like there's some hills beyond the airport. You can see the red on the terrain map. Alright, we're just not over where we need to be. But yeah, kind of a little bit of a teaser for next week. Very long leg. Longest one we've had in a while, outside of the ones that forced us to be super long because we had to cross long stretches of water. We are not crossing long stretches of water. I can't promise there won't be any water. I don't know. I haven't looked. I've just seen the distances and the general direction of the route. So, and you know, he hinted we're crisscrossing France, so we're going to be going across France. So there will be things to see. So come join next week and continue the journey. All right, so. Pretty nice. Just trying to get better at landing these smaller planes. Been doing a little bit of the Neofly stuff lately, and I've been miserable over there. It's been awful trying to bring us... And again, this has more speed than a Cessna, so it's probably a little bit easier. Obviously, it can't come down in as short a space. But anyway, we'll get ourselves off here. Looks like just...
Approaching runway 7, right.
Okay.
Approaching
so that's
runway
probably
7,
the
right.
short one. Because, yeah, 7 right was the other one. We'll just head over here, park ourselves in the middle. But this is not a small airport. It's got major gates and whatever, so... Yeah, we haven't landed at too many big airports lately. But let's let the folks know it has been working. So, let's see. Probably the fastest way. Oh, maybe not. So, we're going to want 120.1. Yeah, on this, it's not that difficult, so... Rest ground, November 191, Mike Alpha. At parking.
November 1901, Mike Alpha. Bretagne Tower. Taxi to stand. Welcome.
Taxi to stand, November 191, Mike Alpha.
November 1, Mike Alpha. Taxi to secondary apron stand. 15 at your discretion. Monitor this frequency.
Alright, well, we're not going to worry about that. But get ourselves shut down. Never turned off our taxi lights. I'm terrible with the lights in this series, I'll tell you, because nobody's really monitoring me. It's just been sloppy. But here we are. This is Brest. Looks pretty flat. So a little bit of a difference. I mean, we were just in the mountains a couple legs ago. Well, last leg, actually. A lot of mountain flying there. And now, something totally different. So, hope you've enjoyed it. And as I said, always something to look forward to here. Well, I can solve this by doing that. And that will help to wind things down, but we don't need to worry about that or wait for that. But I will see you next time.